At the start of the movie, we see King Edvard III of Denmark going back and forth in preparation for an important party. It's his first wedding anniversary with his lovely queen, Paige Morgan, who works as a doctor at a local hospital. Edvard wants to surprise his wife. As for Paige, all she knows is that it's a party for some delegates, so she rushes back to their home, but she's confused as to why there are no people in the ballroom, except for Edvard and some musicians. Then she smiles as she realizes her husband has prepared this for her. Edvard and Paige dance to the music, basking in each other's presence. Then, Edvard tells Paige that they've received a wedding invitation. The king of Sangyun invites them to witness the marriage of his only daughter. Paige thinks about not wanting to leave the hospital, but Edvard persuades her to come with him, as he needs her support for some political matters. Paige knows that he's talking about the Red Ming, the tribe group that apparently insists on not taking any humanitarian aid. Edvard wants to negotiate with the king of Sangyun about these matters. Paige wholly supports her husband in his endeavors, so she eventually agrees to come with him. The next day, they arrive in Sangyun. The country isn't as rich as Denmark, but the people there are happy living simple lives. They warmly welcome the king and queen of Denmark. Paige feels appreciative as she sees a child presenting a flower wreath for her. She walks to the child, ignoring the warnings of their security detail. Edvard knows no one can stop his wife from adoring children, and Soren just sighs in exasperation. They eventually reach the palace, where they are welcomed by Saryu, the king of Sangyun. Together with him are his only daughter, Princess Myra, and Ryan, the princess's confidant. Myra looks meek, always keeping her head down. Edvard mentions that he has a lot of things to discuss, but Saryu says there's always time for serious matters. But for now, he must indulge his guests in a sumptuous dinner. As the king and queen, Edvard and Paige are seated next to Saryu. Myra sits beside Paige, and Soren sits beside Ryan. Myra explains that Ryan is the daughter of Saryu's advisor and has been her close companion since they were young. Myra asks Paige to describe her own wedding. Paige says that despite some complications, it was a fairy tale wedding, and she's sure Myra's will be like that too. But Myra's face clearly looks sad whenever her own wedding is mentioned. Just then, Myra's fiancé arrives. The room suddenly becomes tense as they all stand to welcome Ka Rada. Pleasantries are exchanged. Then, Ka calls Myra to push his chair as she seats him. Edvard and Soren are disturbed as Myra meekly serves her fiancé. The mood at the table doesn't improve after that. Ka Rada keeps antagonizing Edvard as if he intentionally wants to back the king of Denmark into a corner. Ka Rada mentions the Red Mings, who Edvard really wants to help. Ka Rada says these peasants rebel against their king. Just the other day, one of his factories was destroyed by them. He makes it out like the Red Mings are savages who lie to get sympathy from other countries. Saryu has to step in and cut the conversation. After the dinner, Paige can't help but feel frustrated. As it turns out, this marriage has been arranged between the king and Ka Rada, so Myra has no say in it. Ka Rada is the richest man in the country, so the king choosing to marry his daughter off to Ka Rada is a good political move. But the man is obviously a jerk, and he doesn't treat Myra right. The king and queen decide to sleep on the matter for now. But Paige remains awake after a while. She goes to the veranda to get some fresh air. Then she hears a man climbing the railing. She hides, and from her hiding point, she finds out that this man is actually Myra's secret lover. Paige sees the young couple passionately kissing. She wants to give them space, but she accidentally sends a vase to the ground. The man quickly jumps out of the veranda, leaving Myra a bit shy about getting caught. The next day, she informs Edvard and Soren about what she saw. The man's name is Alu, and Paige says Myra has asked her help to stop the wedding. Edvard is unsure, but he promises to do something about it. Later, they attend another ceremony where they see Myra leading the dancers. The royal couple finds her beautiful and graceful, but Ka ruins the moment by saying Myra and everything that she is will become his when they get married. King Saryu invites Paige to come with him to the stable. There, he presents Kayla, a majestic elephant decorated with silks and beads. Rearing her is Alu, who looks embarrassed when he recognizes Paige. Saryu explains that Kayla descends from the country's first elephant. It's tradition that the royal bride will ride the elephant to receive more blessings. But today, that honor is given to Paige for coming here to attend the wedding. Paige is unsure, but she's adventurous enough to try riding Kayla. The elephant seems to chill about it. Paige successfully rides the elephant. Just then, they all hear someone raising their voice. They see Ka intimidating Myra, and he's clearly telling her to obey him. Alu rushes to help his love, leaving Paige to figure out how to climb down. Meanwhile, Edvard takes the opportunity to tell Saryu that Ka isn't the right man for Myra. Saryu is taken aback. He's chosen Ka because he's wise to the ways of the world, and he trusts him to take care of his daughter. Before Edvard can elaborate, he sees Ka in the distance, manhandling Myra, and then Alu comes in to push the man. Edvard runs to rescue the princess. Saryu follows, demanding to know what's happening. Alu, restrained by the guards, admits that he loves the princess and that he's only protecting her from Ka. Paige, who has managed to climb down the elephant and run towards the commotion, supports Alu and says it's Ka who should be restrained. As they point fingers at each other, they all hear the sound of an elephant's trumpet. When they look, Kayla is missing. Saryu is worried that without the elephant, the wedding may be cursed. Thankfully, someone has managed to pinpoint where the elephant may have gone. Ryan, an excellent tracker, says the elephant has gone north, where the Red Mings are located. Ka smirks and takes this opportunity to pin the blame on the Red Mings. It's a convenient coincidence that Alu, a servant of unknown origins, left the elephant alone, and the elephant chooses to go to the Red Mings. There's definitely a conspiracy going on here. Saryu says he needs to think first of what should be done. That night, the king of Sangyun makes a decision. He'll send in the army to retrieve the elephant and punish those who committed the crime, including Alu. Paige can't let this happen. She feels responsible for the animal, as she's its last rider. She also needs to prevent Alu from getting jailed. So she suggests a ridiculous but fair in a way plan. She says if they retrieve the elephant, then they can stop the unnecessary punishment. When Ka smirks at them for even suggesting the idea of going through their jungles, Ryan steps up and volunteers to lead them. After contemplating, Saryu agrees. Paige and the others must return the elephant before sundown on Saturday, or else Alu will be jailed for life, and the army will punish the Red Mings. And so Paige, Edvard, Soren and Ryan set out on their journey to track the elephant. The first period of their foray into the jungle looks as normal as it can get for any royals who boldly enter the wilderness. But soon, they realize they may be lost. Despite Ryan's expertise, she's lost track of the elephant's footprints. Meanwhile, back in the palace, Ka confronts Myra. He tells her to forget Alu and just obey his commands. Myra is steadfast in her faith that Alu will be saved, and the elephant will be returned. But Ka has other plans. He doesn't care if Mira loves him or not. With her family's connections and his business, his dream of turning Sangyun into a financial district will soon come true. It doesn't matter who needs to get eliminated out of his way. After his confrontation with Myra, Ka approaches a soldier who is actually a spy under his payroll and gives him an important mission. Back to our little band of adventurers. Paige sees a monkey, which seems to entice her to follow it along the riverbank. Paige does, and after stumbling over a rock, she finds the ornaments that the elephant wore earlier. Ryan compliments Paige, as this will help her in tracking the animal. But first, they must find a place to stay for the night. They find a spacious cave that will be suited for their camp. As the royal couple takes their intimate time, Ryan prepares the bonfire. Soren compliments her. He's been very taken with her since the start, but Ryan keeps her cool and stands up to fetch water. And so, when the soldiers enter the cave, they only see Edvard, Paige, and Soren. The soldiers intend to keep them there, preventing them from tracking the elephant. But their plan is foiled as Ryan manages to do a surprise attack. She puts down one soldier, while Edvard and Soren each pin down the other two. After tying them up, Edvard asks who sent them and why they were sent. The soldier reveals their mission, but he doesn't divulge whose order they're following. The little band of adventurers decides to leave to not waste time. Thankfully, Ryan finds another track. As they follow her, Edvard can't help but admire Ryan's skills. Paige is okay with it for now. Once they reach her, Ryan shows them the freshly laid poo, which means the elephant may be nearby. Unbeknownst to them, reinforcements for the earlier group of soldiers are already on their way. Of course, it's obvious who sent them, and it's clear he's willing to do anything to achieve his dreams. Ryan leads them by the riverbank, where the track ends. Paige says they should cross the river, but Ryan disagrees with her. Soren is just tired. He sits at the nearby tree. Paige and Edvard argue whether they should cross or heed Ryan's warnings. Paige can't help but feel a little insecure since her husband trusts Ryan's judgment more. They're busy arguing. They don't notice that Soren is screaming for help. A snake has crawled right into his chest, but Ryan manages to throw the slimy creature away. Soren thanks Ryan, and then he sees her looking intently at him. With an amused expression on her face, she says he makes her laugh. Ryan approaches the royal couple, indifferent to their bickering. She says she's going to find out if there's a boat nearby that they can use to cross. Edvard volunteers to go with her, leaving Paige and Soren by the riverbank. Edvard can't help but rant about how Paige seems to ignore her safety by being reckless. All he just wants is to keep her safe. Rayan tells him he should assure his wife that he trusts her, then she'll stop being reckless. Edvard is taken aback, as Rayan's advice makes sense. Edvard tries to climb a tree to see if he can spot a fishing boat. He does, and he also hears his wife's calls of distress. As it happens, the military reinforcements have caught up to them. They kidnap Paige and Soren, get them into the awaiting motorboat, and speed away. Edvard and Rayan are too late, but they manage to snag the fishing boat they saw earlier. They try to follow the abductors. After a while, the motorboat arrives at a crudely made dock. A farmer from above sees the soldiers dragging foreigners. Paige sees the farmer too, and asks for help, but the farmer runs away. The soldiers keep leading Paige and Soren until they reach a clearing. It's obvious what the soldiers intend to do with them there. Paige and Soren plead with them, making them see that they're following the orders of the wrong person. The soldiers hesitate. In that brief moment, they all hear the trumpet of an elephant. A group of people, together with the elephant Kayla, is running down the path, led by the farmer Paige saw earlier. As it turns out, the farmer has recognized Paige from the tabloids. The soldiers run away, leaving Paige and Soren to be rescued by the Red Mings. Meanwhile, Edvard and Rayan reach the dock as well, but it's already getting dark. Rayan knows it's useless to track the kidnappers during the night. The best course of action is to rest for the night, knowing the abductors wouldn't have gotten that far. Edvard reluctantly agrees. The next morning, they continue their path until they reach a village. There, they see Kayla freely roaming around. Edvard goes ahead to find his wife. He really thinks he needs to sneak in. However, he realizes there's no need for it. Paige is safe, the villagers welcome them, and Soren is already carrying a boy in his arms. They meet Tanquin, the village leader, who tells them the truth. They are the Red Mings living peacefully in the mountains. But lately, they are getting sick, but no one has come to help. Edvard, Paige, and the others are the first ones to reach them. They feel the injustice, as people would blame them for violence and their predicament when, in fact, they only want to ask for help. Last time, a factory building was burned, and the blame was pinned on them. Rayan looks at the royals as they all remember that Ka mentioned this incident the other night. Edvard really wants to help, but he needs to address more immediate concerns, return the elephant and save the princess from a miserable marriage. But Tanquin refuses to let the animal go, not when it wandered so willingly into their village. She says Edvard must fight for its freedom. This means he must defeat the village's best warrior. Edvard is at a disadvantage. After all, his royal duties don't include daily martial arts combats. But with a little help from Paige, and considering this as akin to a fencing match, Edvard finds his balance and eventually wins the fight. The village cheers for them and asks them to stay for another night. Later, Paige and Rayan have a heart-to-heart talk. Rayan reveals she started to care for someone, and it's a precious feeling to have. She also says she's jealous that Paige enjoys sharing that special feeling with someone. Paige really thinks Rayan is talking about Edvard, so when Rayan gets up to get the man she cares for, Paige follows her. But she is surprised to see Rayan and Soren in a tight embrace. Paige realizes she's misunderstood Rayan. She apologizes for interrupting them and leaves them to enjoy their passionate moment. Paige looks for her husband. They settle their argument and assure each other there's no one else in their relationship. The next day, they get ready to return to the palace with Kayla. Along the way, they see one of Ka's factories. Now they understand the reason why the Red Mings are getting sick, and why Ka is so resolute in demonizing the tribe. He wants to control all of the country's resources, even at the expense of innocent lives. They resolve to hurry back to the palace. Ka has already ordered the wedding to be held earlier. Myra tries her best to delay by not giving the right response to her father, who officiates the wedding. Thankfully, Edvard's entourage arrives just in time. They stop the wedding, with the elephant happily trumpeting their arrival. Edvard and others reveal Ka's crimes, starting from the kidnapping to attempted execution, and wrongfully blaming the innocents for his selfish gains. Ka tries to defend himself, but he inadvertently admits his devious plans for the country. Ka tries to punch Edvard, but Edvard dodges, giving an opening for Paige to punch Ka instead. Rayan compliments Her Royal Highness. Saryu recognizes his mistake for pushing through with the wedding. To make his amends, he allows Myra to marry Alu. Everyone celebrates this wonderful union. During the party, Edvard recounts their crazy adventures. Paige agrees. This is an extraordinary celebration of their first-year wedding anniversary. Then, Soren and Rayan approach them, letting them know of their plans to get together. As if fate fully agrees with this, Soren accidentally catches the bridal wreath.